People burn entire weeks on testnets and end up with nothing to show for it. And it is almost never because they did too little. It is because they did the wrong thing over and over fast, clicking the same faucet, sending the same empty transaction, chasing a checklist somebody posted, none of which the protocol ever said it cared about. A testnet can genuinely be a way to be early and useful to a project. It can also be a treadmill. This is the honest, methodical version: what a testnet actually is, what tends to count, what almost never does, and how to spend your time so it is not wasted, with zero guarantees attached to any of it. A testnet is a full copy of a blockchain that runs on worthless play money. The tokens come free from a faucet, transactions cost nothing real, and the whole point is to let developers and users break things before real value is at stake. When a new protocol wants to test its contracts under real conditions, it opens a testnet and invites people in. You are, in effect, unpaid quality assurance, trying the product while it is still fragile. That framing matters because it tells you what the team actually values: real use that surfaces real problems. Why protocols run them? A team runs a testnet to find bugs, to stress the system, and to see how ordinary people actually use the thing before mainnet, where mistakes cost money. They want load, they want edge cases, they want feedback they could not get from their own desks. Some later choose to recognize early testnet users when they distribute a token as a thank you and a way to reward genuine early support. Some never do. Understanding the motive keeps your expectations honest. You are helping test software, and any future recognition is a possibility the team may or may not offer, never a wage they owe you. The myth that wastes weeks. The loudest myth in this space is that testnet activity equals a guaranteed airdrop. It does not, and treating it that way is how people end up doing thousands of hollow transactions that qualify for nothing. A team that rewards testnet users is looking for signal, evidence you actually used and understood the product, not evidence you can run a loop. Volume of empty actions is the easiest thing in the world to fake, so it is often the first thing filtered out. If your plan is quantity of meaningless clicks, you are optimizing for exactly what gets ignored. What actually tends to count, what tends to hold up, is depth, not count. Using the real features the protocol is built around, in the way a genuine user would. If it is a lending market, actually lend and borrow and manage a position. If it is a bridge, actually move assets and use them on the other side. If it is an exchange, actually place and manage real seeming trades. The difference between a click and a use is whether you engaged with the thing the product exists to do. That is the signal a serious team looks for, because it cannot be faked in bulk cheaply. Start by reading their own words. Before any activity, go read what the team itself published. The documentation, the testnet guide, the blog post announcing the phase. Teams very often say plainly what they want tested and what they consider meaningful participation. Following their stated tasks is worth more than any second-hand checklist because it is aimed at exactly what they measure. This step is boring and almost nobody does it, which is precisely why it is an edge. The instructions are usually right there, written by the people who will decide what counted, and skipping them to chase a forum thread is backwards. Faucets and test tokens. Test tokens come from a faucet, a simple site that hands you free play money to work with. Keep this in perspective. The faucet is the on-ramp, not the activity. Collecting faucet drips is not participation, it is just picking up the tools. And be careful here, because fake faucets and copycat testnet sites are a common trap, some designed to fish a real wallet. Only use faucet and testnet links from the project's official channels, and never connect the wallet that holds real value to a test environment you are unsure about. Genuine interaction beats clicking. The core skill is doing a smaller number of real things well. One thoughtful walk through every major feature. Understanding what each does beats 1,000 identical empty sends. Try the edge cases a curious user would hit. Move funds, then use them. Open a position, then adjust it, then close it. Get a feel for where the product is rough. That texture of real exploration is exactly what the team wanting quality feedback is hoping to see. And it is the opposite of a script running the same call on repeat. Bug reports and real feedback. The highest value thing you can do on a testnet is find and report a real problem. Teams remember the people who filed a clear, reproducible bug report or gave sharp feedback during a fragile phase. That is genuine contribution, not gaming. And it is the kind of participation almost anyone can offer if they actually pay attention. Use the project's proper channel. Describe what you did, what happened, and what you expected. This is useful whether or not any token ever appears, which is exactly the mindset that tends to age well. The Quest platform layer. Many testnets now route tasks through Quest platforms, structured lists of actions with a nice interface. These are fine as a map of what the team once tried, and following them honestly is reasonable. The trap is treating the checklist as the whole point and blitzing it mechanically. The tasks are meant to guide real use, not replace it. Do them as a genuine user working through the product, not as a robot ticking boxes, because the same filtering that catches empty on-chain loops catches empty quest completions just as easily. Depth over breadth. If you have limited time, and everyone does, go deeper on fewer testnets rather than shallow on many. Spreading thin across 20 projects, doing the bare minimum on each, produces the exact weak signal that gets filtered. Picking 2 or 3 you actually find interesting and using them properly produces the strong signal that survives. This is also just more pleasant because you spend your hours on things you care about instead of grinding lists for projects whose names you cannot remember. Depth is both the better strategy and the better use of a life, sustained over a real timeline. Genuine use tends to happen over time, not in one frantic afternoon. A real user comes back, tries a new feature when it ships, and has a history that spans the testnet's actual duration. Showing up early, engaging through the phases, and still being around near the end reads very differently from a single burst on the last day. You do not need to be constant, you need to be real, and real usually means a handful of genuine sessions spread across the window rather than one cramped sprint at the deadline. The Sybil problem, described plainly. Teams know people try to game testnets with many identical wallets, so they filter for it, and this is worth understanding third hand rather than fighting. The patterns that get filtered are the mechanical ones. Many wallets doing the same actions in the same order at the same times, funded the same way. An honest single user doing genuine varied work does not resemble that without trying to disguise anything. The goal is never to out-trick the filter. It is to actually be the real engaged user the filter is trying to keep. Line printing what you did. Keep a simple record of your genuine participation. Which wallet, what you tried, any feedback or bugs you filed, roughly when. This is not to build a case for a payout you are owed, because you are not owed one. It is ordinary organization, and it happens to be exactly what helps if a project ever runs an appeal for users it filtered by mistake. An honest participant with a clear record of real use is in a good position in that situation. Someone who ran a script and kept nothing is not, and cannot suddenly become one. Does testnet carry to mainnet? A fair question is whether testnet effort transfers when the real product launches. Sometimes teams recognize testnet users. Sometimes the interesting activity only counts on mainnet. Sometimes both. Sometimes neither. There is no universal rule, which is why reading the team's own statements matters so much. Treat testnet participation as worthwhile for what it is, learning the product early and helping it improve, and treat any mainnet recognition as a separate possibility rather than the promised continuations. Assuming automatic carryover is how people feel cheated by a process that never made that promise. When a testnet is not worth it, it is completely valid to decide a testnet is not worth your time. If the product does not interest you, if the team is vague about what they want, if the tasks are obviously just busy work, walking away is a strategy, not a failure. Your hours are finite and there is always another project. The people who do well over a long span are usually the ones who chose carefully and went deep, not the ones who tried to be everywhere. Saying no to the mediocre ones is what makes room to do the good ones properly. Which wallet to use? A practical question that trips people up. Which wallet do you actually use on a testnet? The sensible default is a fresh wallet made for the purpose, not one holding real value and not one carrying your whole history. Test environments are experimental by nature, the contracts are unaudited and half-finished, and a bug that cost nothing in play money could still do something unexpected to a connected wallet. Keeping a dedicated testnet wallet also keeps that activity cleanly separated from your real holdings, which is just good hygiene. And it means that if a testnet site turns out to be a fake designed to phish, the wallet you connected has nothing in it to lose. The small overhead of spinning up a purpose-made wallet for testing is worth it every single time, and it is exactly what a careful operator does without thinking twice about it. Realistic expectations, stated honestly. Here is the plain truth to hold on to. No amount of testnet work guarantees anything. No token is owed to you, and this is not a way to make guaranteed money. Some genuine early users have been recognized by some projects, and that is the honest ceiling of the claim. Participate because you want to be early and useful on products you find interesting, keep a light record, go deep on a few, and let any recognition be a bonus rather than the reason. That mindset is both more honest and, over time, the one that actually tends to hold up. The fuller step-by-step. The projects I think are actually worth your hours, and the tools that make genuine testnet use less painful are written up at airdropfarming.org. No hype and no guarantees. Subscribe if you want the methodical version of this, real participation explained honestly, and none of the guaranteed riches nonsense. Next time we get into how to build a real on-chain history across your wallets, the kind of genuine activity that simply looks like a person using crypto instead of the mechanical pattern everyone warns you about.